You may have imagined that you wanted to enter the world of the movie. In other words, the imagination of becoming a specific person in a unique worldview and having a special experience. We're moving to realize this very imagination in real life. Our ultimate goal is to get people to walk, run, and have their own cinematic experiences in real life. Hello, we are Byfoot, founded to lead a new art industry. We would like to do the following. Reality means indoor and outdoor spaces where we live. Theatrical experience is to experience acting as an actor right in front of your eyes. The worldview is an attractive fake documentary worldview. A special game is a game in which you experience an unfamiliar worldview through communication with an actor. To help you understand, I will start explaining in detail from now on. We will also explain why we want to do this business and the detailed explanation of the business content. For your information, when we tell you why we want to do this business, we will certainly convey the cause of our business by presenting the shortcomings of other art businesses, similar to ours and solutions to them. Then we'll start now. Globally, the flow of entertainment has evolved from viewing to experience. Various online games are being transformed into VR games and room escape cafes. 2D movies are being transformed into 3D and 4D movies. Plays are being transformed into audience participating plays. History education is being transformed into folk village experiences. And in fact, the trend is steadily achieving high sales of at least 40 billion won in Korea. People increasingly want to have hands-on experiences using their own bodies. And we were able to make one discovery from the above changes. At the center of all these changes was the keyword, people. Currently, the Room Escape Cafe is putting actors in the middle of the mission. In the movie Pop-Up Store, a guide dressed as a character in the movie helps people experience. In the audience participating play, actors and audiences communicate with each other. The folk village also encourages folk experiences by communicating with actors and audiences. In other words, the element of people in entertainment generates active participation in consumers. Through the actors acting, instructing, and guiding, consumers gain a high sense of immersion in an unfamiliar world. This is the theatrical experience that we talked about earlier. However, it is not only necessary to act as an actor to increase the audience's immersion. Synesthetic elements, such as unique and creative spaces, attractive sounds and scents, must be accompanied. Therefore, based on this, Room Escape Cafe is firmly building an immersive system by adding synesthetic elements. It is constantly developing to increase the sense of immersion in the extreme through realistic sounds, surprise appearances of actors, and visualization of space. In addition, it is gradually spreading not only in Korea, but also abroad such as China, the United States, and Japan. The world's largest haunted house appeared in Japan's Fuji-Q Highland. This was a groundbreaking example of making an entire abandoned building an activity participation space. It puts actors in the building and embodies eerie sounds and images, giving people a sense of extreme fear. Similarly, British production company Punchdrunk also created an immersive theater called Sleep No More. They made it possible for the audience to freely travel between rooms in the 5-story hotel and watch theatrical Macbeth in a very close form. Despite the high price, it has now entered London, New York, and Shanghai, and will soon be introduced in Korea. So far, we have introduced groundbreaking projects, created through theatrical experience. But while we were looking at these, we found some problems. In other words, we found elements that can reduce people's immersion. It's limited indoor space and lack of secrecy. Curiously, these two properties are naturally connected. All three of the previous businesses are conducted only in indoor spaces. To start a room escape cafe, consumers must first enter the room according to the staff's guidance. To enter the Japanese haunted house, consumers must wait with people at the door. Sleep No More also allows consumers to enter after they first get their tickets checked in front of the hotel. In other words, since these businesses are carried out in fixed indoor spaces in front of the entrance to the activity space, consumers naturally think, "I'm going to have a fun experience in here from now on." This idea may inspire some anticipation, but on the contrary, it may also reduce some tension by making predictions that something will happen in the future. In addition, the nature of a limited indoor space greatly reduces secrecy. The lack of secrecy means, to put it simply, that the place has an open nature. Because when we look outside the building, where the activity takes place, the atmosphere of the room escape cafe, the haunted house, and the theater space is certainly communicated to us through the signboards or logos. Of course, Sleep No More uses an ordinary hotel, but its secrecy is very diminished as it is already detailed on the internet about which hotel the play takes place. In other words, consumers unconsciously know that they enter certain artificially decorated spaces and experience fake experiences. Therefore, based on these points, we will expand the existing indoor space into indoor and outdoor spaces, and the indoor space will be in a form that is not clear from the outside. For reference, indoor and outdoor space expansion refers to the consumer starting activity at some point outside, not inside, and finally entering the indoor space again after passing through several outdoor spaces. For example, consumers start their activities by looking for a note or speaking to an actor first in an outdoor space. When any contact or action begins outdoors rather than indoors, you will feel more like a special situation occurs in your daily life, which will certainly increase your sense of immersion. Also, a form whose purpose is not clear from the outside means an ordinary building's appearance, which is no different from a regular building or house. In fact, the exhibition form of the art island of Naoshima, located in Kagawa Prefecture, Japan, gives us a very strange but ordinary impression. This is because the exterior of some of the buildings where the exhibition is held is no different from ordinary private houses. But if you look inside, there are secretly and unique exhibitions. Likewise, we will make consumers experience ordinariness and unfamiliarity sequentially, making them feel a higher sense of realistic immersion. So far, we have reorganized and presented the theatrical experience and reality of the existing business in our own way. In other words, it is to realize a highly immersive theatrical experience by combining synesthetic elements along with the actor's acting, while traveling between outdoors and indoors. Of course, the exterior of the building should be designed very ordinary. Now we're going to explain the view of the world and the main character. Do you know that there is an activity where you can go directly into and experience the world-famous movies? Secret Cinema, which started in the UK, is creating that experience. This mega art entertainment has provided a first-hand cinematic experience to over 1.5 million audience members over the past 17 years through more than 60 works, including fan favorites like Star Wars and Back to the Future. They bought an abandoned factory and turned it into a movie set, allowing people to experience watching movies, cosplay, eating, watching performances, and small competition missions for about 6 to 7 hours. Above all, they made good use of the shortcomings of the ordinariness and secrecy of the space we mentioned earlier. At first, they give people a specific character, then only announce the screening film and meeting place to create a secret atmosphere. After that, the actor, who is waiting at the meeting place, invites people to a secret space, decorated with a movie worldview. We found it very appealing in that it overcame the shortcomings of room escape cafe, haunted house, and immersive play to some extent. Secret Cinema is actually very large, and it is such a popular entertainment company that many producers and brands ask them to collaborate. However, we also found two problems with this perfectly visible Secret Cinema. It's a fixed worldview and multiple participation. It is natural that creating activities using already world-famous movie stories attracts many people's attention. These features will also have many other economic benefits, as several film production companies and brands want sponsorship and collaboration. However, on the contrary, this can also create major obstacles to worldview adaptation and expansion. If the activity deviates from the characters and stories of existing famous movies to some extent, it will be difficult to arouse sympathy from many people. This is because movie aficionados often want a perfect reproduction of their favorite movie worldview, and a lot of capital must be spent to reproduce the perfect movie worldview, and the originality and mystery of the activity will also be reduced. Therefore, you need an original worldview and story that you have never seen anywhere else in these activities. This is because curiosity and immersion increase only when the audience is not familiar with the worldview at all. And as I said earlier, secret cinema starts with a secret atmosphere, but in the end, the middle and the end is a festival. This is because it is an activity where a large number of people who like a specific movie gather together to fall into memories and enjoy mini-games, meals, performances, and movies. So one problem arises, which is multiple participation. This refers to at least a few dozen people, not just 3 or 4. Of course, if a large number of people gather to participate in the experience or viewing, high enjoyment and fun will occur. However, the concentration of people who are immersed in a particular worldview will be very low. People can stop at just feeling and enjoying the atmosphere around them, rather than focusing on their mind and thoughts, because they are with so many others. Of course, we think it's very good in terms of festival, but it's not desirable for you to be the main character in the worldview. Rather, we think the room escape cafe, aimed at the experience of a small number of people, is more in contact with the point we want in this regard. Activities of a small number of people, not a large number, and activities that focus on myself, not others. This is one of the key forms of the business we want. Based on this, we decided we will create a worldview that is unique to the world through our own original story. This will certainly help us grow into an original brand beyond just immersion. In a similar example, the SCP Foundation, a fiction documentary format site, has been successful globally by producing books, games, short films, and figures using original materials and worldviews in the genre of urban fantasy. You have to pass various missions to escape from the room. Inside the Room Escape Cafe, you have to solve problems related to symbol, calculation, and picture through thinking and reasoning. However, we found 2 problems in this way. It's the absence of a message and the uniformity of the mission format. What elements should a movie or drama need to be remembered for a long time by people? Of course, there are many factors such as actors acting and interesting material, but the most important factor is strong message. When the message of a movie is delivered to us strongly, we will surely remember it for a long time, feeling a long lingering feeling. Then, wouldn't the activities be similar to this? Like a movie or drama, the worldview in the activity is also intertwined with character, event, and background. It will certainly be a precious memory if people experience activities that not only arouse fun and curiosity, but also convey long lingering effects with strong messages. In this regard, the problem-solving mission of the Room Escape Cafe is currently hindering the delivery of messages from the unique worldview in the activity. This is because most of the mission problems require rational thinking. In other words, people face missions that require rational thinking, as if solving a test question, and are hindered from immersion in the worldview. Therefore, when the activity ends, people end up with only the result of escaping the room well in time. In addition, when mission questions require a rational approach that requires thinking and reasoning, there will be many cases where the method is uniform, such as the school exam. In fact, various blogs, communities, and cafes related to Room Escape Cafe have already clearly organized the method of solving room escape missions and share them with each other. If this condition continues, the Room Escape Cafe will not only fall into a problem-solving experience rather than a worldview experience, but will also have problems that can be easily solved through a specific solution method. Of course, Various concepts such as hide and seek and mafia game have recently emerged, but in the end, this is also nothing more than a simple play, so it is only briefly entertaining in the beginning and is becoming less popular. Based on this, we decided to change the mission method of the existing room escape cafe in a different way, from a rational approach to an emotional one. In other words, it's a way to make people use their experiences and emotions, making them more immersed in the activity worldview. For example, we will set up a situation in which the participants should persuade the runaway high school girls who fought with their parents and assign the participants a mission, such as use your experience of arguing with your parents to persuade runaway high school girls. As another example, one character gives participants a mission to read an apology letter to another character with emotion. Participants read the letter sincerely, and the other character creates an emotional atmosphere by showing the participants appropriate emotions. Of course, this type of mission will be fully notified to the participants in advance, and all actors will be trained in the ability to communicate with the participants naturally. So, what if it's a thriller genre? After several missions, a participant finally finds out the criminal's appearance. Participant heads to a company. After arriving, the participant heads to the place where the president and staff are meeting. The mission is to stand in the center of the conference room, point the finger at the person confirmed as the criminal, and shout loudly, "That person killed a person." As a result, the reality of the actor's acting, the space, and the tension to point out the criminal in the solemn atmosphere will surely evoke a strong impression and emotion on the participant. In this way, the type of activity we are trying to do is a way to thoroughly stimulate emotions. We will boldly abandon the rational problem approach of the existing room escape cafe, and we will make the participant have various emotions in the worldview of the activity. And this is going to be a special cinematic game experience that you can't experience anywhere else. So far, we have explained the core characteristics of our business. We told you why we wanted to start this business and how we would proceed with it. Then, we'll briefly show you the video of our activity that we've explained.
하는 말 잘 들어. 저 사람들은 내 가족이 아니야.
혜진이가 사실 지금 제정신이 아니야. 나까지 정신병 걸릴 것 같다니까. 가끔 한 것도 보고 그래. 치아빠 닮아가지고.
엄마방 제일 오른쪽 찬장에 진실이 있어.
오랜만이네? 지금 집착이 발끝까지 돌아있거든? 내 말 명심해. 집착과 분류를 피하려면 이 방법밖에 없어. 나랑 같이 가자.
그 소리가 들리기 시작했어. 금방이라도 모든 공간을 꽉 지워버릴 그런 소리가. 그 사람이 여기서 어떤 행동을 절대 말 걸지 마. 알았지? 네가 무엇을 보는지는 중요하지 않아. 그냥 그 사람이 온다는 게 중요한 거야. 월요일에만 이러니까 제발 날 믿어줘. 온다.